friends. Show them you ain't dead. Tell them no, you ain't coming home. Woo, eyes. Woo, eyes. Woo,
What do y'all think of the Christmas music? I just want to get everybody in the spirit. We are officially 1 week away, 7 days from Christmas. So I thought, why not have us a little bit of Christmas music today? Welcome to the Steve Freeman Podcast, everybody. It is Tuesday. It is 6 p.m. Central. I gotta say, I'm kind of getting into the music. It's a little elevator-ish. And I certainly would have chosen something different, but we don't want to get copyright stricken on YouTube. That happens to me enough when I use my own music that I've written and produced, and they copyright strike me constantly. So we went with this because it's safe and because they're not going to copyright strike me over using it. I went to great lengths for you people to find this music to use tonight. So I hope that you're getting something out of it. I hope that you're enjoying it. Let us know where you are joining us from tonight. Are you on YouTube? Are you on Twitch? Are you on Facebook? I forgot to change the dashboard on Twitch, so it probably just sent an alert out and told everybody that we are playing Fortnite. Boy, are they going to be in for a shock. Is everybody ready for Christmas? I know I am. I've been working my ass off the last few days trying to get to the point where I can totally shut down and actually have some time off. Gear up for next year, big things. I'm looking forward to it too. And I have to say, I started about 3 or 4 days ago, just resigned to the fact that I am probably not going to stay on my diet. Right, for the holiday season, Christmas and New Year. It's one of those things where you just kind of have to, decide to yourself that no matter how good you want to try to do, you're not going to do it. I mean, my wife's already talking about the banana nut bread and the cookies and all of that stuff, and I can refuse a lot of things. I think I've figured out recently that I'm actually allergic to chocolate. I think I figured that out. So I've been really good with passing up the chocolate, but when that banana nut bread hits the table, it's going to be very difficult to pass it up. And I honestly know myself well enough to know that I just don't know if I can do it or not. Because I wait all year long for the banana nut bread. So I'm looking forward to that. So I've made a decision, and I'm giving you permission as well to let loose a little bit. Don't worry about those things so much. Just enjoy the holidays, eat the pie, eat all that stuff. Although we decided as a family this year, we're not doing the traditional Christmas dinner thing we're literally, I think we're going to go to Which. And we're just going to get a bunch of subs. I'm kind of over the whole ham, turkey, stuffing, casserole stuff. I don't know why. I'm just a little over it. So we're going to do something different this year. And on Christmas Eve, we're going to get subs and stuff like that and just have finger food type stuff. That's the plan anyway. I do want to warn you as we proceed tonight that, as usual, and of course, one of these things is not working. the thing that normally funnels all of the chat from Facebook, Twitter, or Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube into one thing so that I can see them all in one space, it's not working, of course. So I have, if you're typing something on into the chat on Twitch, I can't see it. Same thing with Facebook, I can't see it. But all of you awesome YouTube people that, by the way, helped us reach and achieve and surpass 1,000 subscribers, I can see every word you type. Zednex says, evening. Zednex, hope you're doing well, brother. Hope all is going well. I got a couple things I want to talk about tonight, but I also want to get to anything that you guys want to talk about, any questions that you guys might have. We'll certainly get to those as well. We will not be streaming next Tuesday because it's Christmas. And I'm not going to come up here and fire everything up to do a podcast on Christmas. It's just not going to happen. Okay, now the thing says it's working, so we'll see. Somebody type something in the chat on one of the various platforms that we're streaming on tonight, and we'll actually see if it's working or not. So I'm releasing you all for next week. There will be no podcast on Tuesday, although we might do one like Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I'm trying to decide if I'm just going to take the entire week off or if I'm actually going to, we actually might do some. Stay tuned. Follow me on social media, and you'll know all the gory details of what we decide to do next week. If we decide to do anything at all, I'll post it on all social media. At the Steve Freeman, everywhere on social media. I put out video up on the YouTube channel Friday about the new Rodecaster Pro, and that thing is awesome. If you haven't had a chance and you're into the techie kind of stuff, you might want to go check the video out. It's a really cool piece of equipment. It's what we're going to be using in the new studio after the first of the year. And it's really a really cool piece of gear, especially if you're like into podcasting or if you've got a live show like this. A lot of different uses for it. Even I was telling somebody yesterday that honestly, even if you're a gamer, this is a great piece of gear to have if you're a gamer. If you've got a Twitch channel and you're streaming your gameplay, it's awesome. It'd be great for that as well. Oh, and you're saying, okay, yeah, you came across the channel when you reviewed. Okay, awesome. Hope you enjoyed the video. It really is. It's a really cool piece of gear. There's just so many features built into it. I spent a lot of the day today replying to comments from people that were talking about and griping because it's not multi-track. And I said in most of those comments, I get it. It's not multi-track. But I don't think that was their intention. And you also have to understand there's nothing else on the market like the Rodecaster Pro. So it's really cool. Go check it out. And if you do decide to get one, make sure you follow the link in the video. I don't get anything from it, but it was a sponsored video by my friends at Sweetwater. And I will buy it from them. So there's a link right down there in the description. Buy it from them and take your podcast to the next level or your stream to the next level. I think I need it for no reason. I agree. It's one of those things where it's because there's nothing else like it. It's almost like you have to have it. And even if you don't need it, you'll find a use for it somehow. But it's really cool. And I want to thank Sweetwater for partnering with me on that video. And we will be announcing, by the way, the deal was there that if you watch the video, you like it, and you make a comment, you're entered to win a $50 gift card from me and Sweetwater. I'm going to announce the winner of the $50 gift card Thursday at 7 p.m. And what I'm going to do is I'll, of course, announce it across all of social media, but I will make a comment on that video and tag the person that won that won the gift card. We gave away another $50 gift card on Instagram yesterday or day before. Oh, it's Sunday. We did that on Sunday. And we're going to give away one more $50 gift card tonight, right here on the podcast. So before we wrap up tonight, I am going to give somebody a $50 gift card from Sweetwater. You can use it for whatever you give it to somebody as a stocking stuffer. You can use it for yourself. Be good and selfish this time of year. Whatever you want to do with it. And Sweetwater told me they mailed them out, so I should have them probably tomorrow, and I will make sure that I get it out to everybody that has won. I'll make sure that that we get it out so that you get it before Christmas, in case you do want to give it to somebody else. But I do, once again, I just want to say thank you to Sweetwater, Steve, and Carson McLean, everybody over at Sweetwater for partnering with me on the video. And to give away $150 in gift cards. I mean, that was awesome of those guys. And I love Sweetwater. I've used Sweetwater for years. I've bought hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gear from them. They're just very knowledgeable. They know what they're talking about. When you call Sweetwater and you want to know about a piece of gear, the guy on the other end of the phone is a songwriter, producer, engineer, just like you are. And so they know what they're talking about. And that's what separates them from a lot of other people that just sell gear. That, just get it out the door. Sweetwater's different. And I appreciate them reaching out to me about doing the sponsored video. That was awesome. And I got to do the video on something I actually believed in. And I want to set the record straight here. I bought the Rodecaster Pro. They did not give it to me. I bought it. But I had a deal with them that I wanted to make sure that I was one of the very first people to get it. So, like, the minute that it came in through the shipping bay doors at Sweetwater, my sales rep was opening that crate, getting it, and putting it in the mail to me. And they actually overnighted it to me so that I could get it before just about everybody, so that I could do the video. So I want to make that clear. They did not give me the Rodecaster Pro. I paid for it. I paid all $600 for it. And I couldn't be happier that I did. It was a great Christmas present to myself. Speaking of Christmas presents, I was looking up today and looking at what seems to be like the top number one Christmas gift of the year. And it seems to be like the Amazon Echo type devices. Then you've got the Google HomePod or the Apple HomePod. I forget the name of all of them, but every company, Apple, Google, Amazon, they all have their smart home devices. That seems to be the number one gift this year. And I'm always a little conspiracy theorist about all that stuff about, okay, it is kind of creepy that when you ask Alexa if she works for the CIA, she just kind of stays quiet. That's kind of creepy. But I have to say, we dove in a couple years ago, well, about a year ago, maybe. And we got ourselves one of the big Dot Echo, the big one with the speaker in it, and it runs your entire house. And we started slowly buying all of the different smart bulbs that go with Alexa. And I do have to say, as lazy as it may make me, I literally have to tell Alexa to turn on the living room, turn off the living room, turn on the bedroom. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. So if you're looking for a Christmas gift for that someone in your life that you think has everything, it seems to be across all websites, it seems to be that's the number one gift this year, and it's probably number one for a reason. So I highly recommend checking it out. And I think they had the Dot on there the other day for like $19. So, I mean, how wrong can you go? How wrong can you go? I was looking at some of the recommendations that they were talking about, the top Christmas gifts in 2018 for guys. And I swear to God, if any of that shit's under my tree, I'm going to be extremely disappointed, and it's not going to be a good Christmas. Where do they get some of this stuff? I'm talking like subscriptions where nuts come every month, or this of course, I mean, I have a beard, so this monthly shave club thing. That does me no good. I don't wear ties. I haven't worn ties in years and years and years. I mean, maybe a lot of you guys do. Maybe a lot of other people do. So, like, if you get a tie or a subscription where they send you a different nut every month, maybe that means something to you. It means nothing to me. I was looking at the list, and I struggled to find anything on any of those lists that I thought was worth having. Although what I did find was pretty cool was our friends, the Martins that own Martin's Barbecue here in Nashville, they actually made Oprah's gift list this year with their sauces and rubs and stuff like that. You ought to go check that out. But we were real happy for them in making Oprah's top gift list for Martin's Barbecue. That was kind of cool. Really good stuff there. But yeah, I mean, number one gift, it seems to be this season, smart home devices. That's where everything's going. I mean, pretty soon, I even realized the other night that the remote on my Roku is voice activated. So, I mean, even the remote now, you don't even have to operate. You just have to kind of pick it up and talk into it. And it'll take you to whatever channel you want to go to whenever you want to go. And now these smart home devices, we've got smart home, smartphone, everything. Although I was having conversation, I went the other day because I was supposed to get it a while back. And I went and picked up the iPhone, the XS Max. Because I had the 10 for a long time. I had the 10 when it first came out. I bought it. And I was supposed to get this one when it came out. And there was an issue with the shipping. So finally, 3 months later, I would go to the store. And I finally went and picked it up from the store. And I was telling a friend today, we were having a conversation. It's amazing that these phones, they will literally do anything in the world you want them to do except make a phone call reliably. So I find it kind of strange that we call them smartphones because, in all honesty, they're not real smart. And they make us dumber. That I'm convinced of. I was reading an article the other day where they were talking about the amount of minutes and hours that people spend on their phone. And I mean, I agree with it. You can't even drive down the road without running into somebody that is on their phone, whether they're driving or they're in the passenger seat. It doesn't matter. And I swear, like used to when you're in your car and you're driving, it's like the worst thing in the world. For those of us that don't look at our phone and drive, for the most part, we used to hate red lights. We hated them. We were forward momentum, progress, and then a red light. I swear to God, I think everybody actually looks forward to red lights now because it's an excuse to stop for a few minutes and look at your phone. It's unreal. They keep getting smarter. They keep making us dumber. Which, if you haven't watched Terminator in a while, maybe we ought to all go back and watch Terminator. The machines are taking over. They literally are taking over. Let's see, question. Are you using the Procaster microphone? No, this is a Shure SM7B. Really great microphone. Although I will say that the Procaster is a good microphone. I mean, if you wanted to pair it with anything, it's going to sound good. Although I do have, and I don't know where it's around here somewhere. For when I'm on the road, no pun intended, when I'm on the road, I actually have the USB version of the Procaster, and it sounds amazing. So, and actually, I think I'm going to have Rode send me a few of the Procaster microphones. Because in the new studio, we've got it set up where there are going to be, I can have 3 guests. So I've got to have 3 microphones, 3 of these, 3 of the boom arms. And I might end up trying and going and seeing what the Rode microphones sound like. Look, I've got one of my main microphones that I use on every project that I produce is an original Rode Classic microphone, same microphone that Adele did the vocals for Rolling in the Deep and several songs off of that album. I just fell in love with that sound, and I tracked one down and bought it. And I use that primarily on every vocal, on every record that I produce, either that or a Shure SM7B. I mean, every vocal on the Thriller album, the best-selling album of all time, was done through this microphone right here, a $400 microphone. As technology really starts to advance, it really, you don't have to buy the $3,500 microphone anymore, or the $4,000 microphone, or even the $1,500 microphone. None of that matters anymore, especially when you're talking about music, because digital is digital is digital. I was telling somebody the other day, we were talking about consoles and in the box recording and Pro Tools and all that, and I was telling them, you haven't heard. The worst investment in the world is a vintage Neve console, because you haven't heard one in 35 years. Because since everything has gone to digital, since even the radar systems came out, you've not heard those consoles, because when it goes from that console through your AD converter, your AD-DA converter, and it's turned to digital, you have lost all the nuance of that $250,000, $300,000 console. You've lost the integrity of the Neve 1073 preamps that are in it and the EQs. You've lost all that, because digital is digital, and it is impossible for digital to carry those transients into the digital domain, the digital space. It's just not that wide. That's why you have all these plugins that then go back in and try to add that warmth and that feel of 2-inch tape and console emulators back into these mixes and masters, because that's what you really want to hear. But guys, digital is digital is digital. So I can make a $200 microphone sound as good as a $15,000 microphone. I've done it. So don't get caught up with thinking, oh, you've got to have and spend all this money. It's absolutely, hey, look, I was there. I've been there, and I did that. I've had so many hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gear that it's not even funny. But what I did was I whittled it down to exactly what it is that I know that I like and I know that I want. And I've got a different lens on the camera tonight. You can't really see back there. But if you look back there at my Argosy console and you look at what I've got in there, I've got a Universal Audio U710, so that I've got 4 channels of Universal Audio 710, which I love because it's got solid state and tube, and you can dial in between the two, or you can mix the two. I love that mic pre, so I have 4 of those. I had 8 of them, and I gave 1 of them to Grady Saxman. So he's using one in his studio now. Then I've got my lunchbox below that, which I've got 2 API 512Cs because I love API. And then I've got a Neve 1073. That's what I've got. I've even gotten to the point now where I'm not even really compressing that much going in, because there again, I don't want the integrity gone. So take it from me. And look, I'm a gearaholic. I'll be the first one to admit to you, I am a gearaholic. I fall into that trap of having to have that new microphone or that new mic pre or that new compressor, or I fell into that, and I fell hard for a lot of years. And then when I started producing more and more and more projects, it's just, you've got to do things expediently. You have to do things quickly. And now for the end user, they're getting this music from iTunes, or you're listening to it on Spotify, and you're taking what we would create, which would be a 75 megabyte file, and we're compressing it all the way down to 3 megabytes so that it's easy to download on your quote-unquote smartphone. When you take something that big and you squish it down that small, you're losing all of that specialness. You're losing all of that dynamic sound of the compressors and the Neve 1073s. You've lost that a long time ago. You lost it in the mix. You're going to lose it in the master, although you're going to try to artificially bring that back. You've still lost it. And people are listening through little bitty tiny earbuds to which digital is incapable of translating all that. So I finally sat down with it, and I produced one project completely in the box where I used onboard pre's on my Apogee, and we did everything in the box, no outboard gear whatsoever. And when I got done with it, I compared it to a project that I did 100% completely analog, right? I'm talking 100%. It was even done on 2-inch tape through a vintage Neve console. Never went digital until we digitized it for delivery to iTunes. You can play both of those albums back to back together, and you can't tell which one was recorded in the box and which one was recorded analog on the console. You just can't. In today's The Michael Deacon Program, what's up? He says, hello. Hope you're doing good, man. If you guys got a question or anything you want to talk about, all you got to do is pop it in the chat. Finally, it says this thing's working. So if you're on Twitch, I can see what you're commenting on Twitch. Same thing with Facebook, and same thing with YouTube. So don't hesitate to ask a question, make a comment. Again, we are going to give away a $50 gift card to somebody before the end of the show tonight. Just throwing that out there. But I'm only going to give it to somebody who makes a comment or asks a question. I'm just going to, because I don't have that crystal ball where I can see the number of you that are watching and listening around the world, but I can't see who you are. So I can't give it to you if I don't know who you are. So you got to make a comment, or you got to ask a question. Let me know you're here. I mean, you can say, Steve, you're an asshole in the chat. You're entered. You're entered to win. But yeah, I'm gearing up. I'm anxious for Christmas. I'm looking forward to it this year. Family's coming over this weekend. I'm also really excited. I am going to go to the Titans and Redskins game on Saturday with our friends, the Pages. We had such a good time last time we went and watched them play the Patriots. We're going to do it again. It's kind of exciting a little bit. It's kind of exciting to be a Titans fan right now. I mean, finally, like after 3 years, we can be excited about Derrick Henry. I mean, that guy's blowing it out of the water right now. And if they win the next 2 games with just a little bit of help, they're going to make the playoffs. So it'll be kind of fun. We've got Washington this weekend, and then we've got, I believe, Indianapolis the week after that. We have to win that game, and they're on fire, and I hate Indiana. I hate the Colts. Sorry for any of you guys that live in Indy. I can't stand Andrew Luck. I can't stand him. I can't stand him because he constantly talks like he's like his mouth's full of something, and that bugs the absolute crap out of me. He's probably a Class A guy. He's probably a really nice guy, but he needs to get whatever the hell that is in his mouth. He needs to get it out, because I can't stand him. So that makes me hate the entire team. So we got to beat them. Michael D. Program says, how's the new mixer? Man, it's great. I'm not using it tonight. I'm going to use it as soon as they finish construction on the brand new studio. It's over there now. And as soon as we get ready to move into that new studio, we will be using it, which will be probably the first show of the year. So right after the 1st of January, that show will be here. Now, since I know some of you are watching tonight because you came over from the Rodecaster review, I do want to tell you, those of you that are watching, how many of you think that this setup sounds good right now? Just put it in the chat. Give me an exclamation point, a thumbs up. Give me something in the chat if you think this setup sounds good right now. Because I've been trying to reply to all of the comments and let people know just what a tremendous, tremendous value that it is. Okay, everybody's saying yes. And not to pat myself on the back, I know it sounds damn good. I know what I'm doing. It sounds good. Here's my point. The setup that I'm using right now is a Shure SM7B microphone but I am using an Aphex channel as my mic pre, de-esser, limiter, EQ that also has the aural exciter in the big bottom. This unit right here is $1,000. $1,000. Okay, so you've got a $400 microphone, you've got $1,000 processor going into this mixer over here that was a couple $100. The computer plays no part whatsoever in sound quality. So just between the mic and the Aphex channel, that's $1,400, okay? On the Rodecaster Pro, every channel on the Rodecaster Pro has this Aphex channel built into it. Every single channel, all 4 mic inputs have the Aphex channel on them. So you can have 4 inputs that sound exactly like this for $600. And I paid $1,000 for one Aphex unit. So when you talk about value, you just can't beat it. You just absolutely can't beat it. I was waiting for a long time for this thing to come out. And I'm telling you, it's worth every penny. I get those of you that are complaining that it's not multi-track. I get it. I understand that. But I also know that I don't require multi-track for my show. Right? I don't need it. This is a live show. All we're going to do is rip the audio off of this MF and upload it to iTunes and Spotify for the audio version of the podcast. You know, I get it for those of you that want to pre-produce and you want to pre-record and then you want to be able to have control over each one of those channels. I get it. I understand. And this may not be for you, although I think at some point Rode will probably do some sort of a software upgrade or a firmware upgrade that will give multi-track functionality. Although if I were Rode, I wouldn't do that. I'd bring out another piece of gear that was multi-track. Because if you went to like Sweetwater and you put all of the different things, all of the different features that the Rodecaster Pro has in it, you'd have $4,500 to $5,000 in your cart. Easy. Because it also has EQ, limiter, compressor, de-esser, all of that built in. I mean, it's easy a $5,000 shopping cart to buy all of that individually. I mean, there's $10,000 on this. There's more than that. There's almost $15,000 on this desk right here. Just in this streaming setup. That's not including the camera that I'm using, the keyboard, the mouse. I mean, it's just to get it to sound like this and to have a great computer that is capable of streaming high definition video at real time. So it is a great value. Oh, you're not a fan of the SM7B? Man, I love the SM7B. There's a lot of great microphones out there. But I love it. It's like I said earlier, every vocal on the Michael Jackson Thriller album was recorded with this microphone. But the reason I like the SM7B, whether it's for applications like this or even for vocals in the studio, is because it's very shapeable. There are a lot of microphones that the dynamics imprint so hard and have such an effect on the vocal that it makes it very difficult to shape it in post. I know what I can make this microphone sound like in post. And it's a lot better for like country vocals and rock vocals. I mean, this is not something you would want to, do this big power ballad on. Although I did use it on a power ballad once and it sounds amazing. But for more of that kind of stuff, you really do want to stick to your tube mics. That's why my go-to is my original classic, Rode Classic, because it's an amazing microphone. They didn't make many of them. The Rode Classic 2s that are out now are trash. I wouldn't own one. But the original, the vintage one, is amazing. It's probably one of my favorite buys that I've ever bought for studio equipment, for sure. Oh, sonic signature is not my cup of tea. That I understand. That I totally understand and I totally get. It's almost, and it can either have too much character or it's characterless, depending on how you want to look at it. A lot of people think it's very, it does take a lot of EQ. Like if you're using it for in the studio, like doing vocals and things like that, then absolutely. It's going to require EQ because it is very flat, or it's got a very, depending on how you have the settings set on the back of the microphone here, that low shelf and high shelf are almost too much in either direction. So I totally get what you're talking about. But for I first learned about these microphones when I was in radio 30 years ago. Because we either used these or we used RE20s. I mean, these were the go-to broadcast microphones. And I'm still a big fan of the RE20. I might pick up a couple of those too. But I do want to try the Rode mics out as well. Yeah, it does depend on the particular style of your voice. It does. It does. If you typically already have a mid to lower voice, this is your microphone. If your voice is kind of upper mid range or higher, this is not your microphone. And the mistake that I see most people make is that they have that upper mid tone or higher voice, and they buy this microphone thinking that it's going to make their voice sound deeper. That is, and that's where most people end up not liking this microphone. It will not do that for you. So it does, and it is very important to match your vocal type with the right microphone, whether it's in a setting like this, whether it's a podcast or a live show, or in the studio. I have certain artists that I produce that I will not, like even a $10,000 microphone. Even though it costs $10,000, I'm not going to go pull it out of the closet and use it on somebody when I know that it doesn't suit their voice well. That's part of being a good producer, which not many people know these days, is knowing about the equipment and knowing the gear, knowing what suits what type of voice the best. I could go on and on about that. We live in such a society where we are so anxious to just get stuff out and get stuff done. And I do understand that the end user could care less. We have effectively dumbed down the end user to where it is all about quantity and so much less about quality. I just can't adopt that philosophy. I have to put 100% and use every bit of knowledge that I have when I'm producing a record. I have to operate the way that I've always operated, whether it's for a major artist or whether it's for an independent artist that you've never heard of. Everybody deserves to have whoever it is producing their record or working with them to know the ins and outs of how to make something great and how to make something of quality. Does quality take a little bit more time? Yes, quality takes a little bit more time. Does quality cost a little bit more? Absolutely, quality costs a little bit more. But that used to mean something. And I'm old school. I come from that vein of thought, that train of thought. It's got to be quality. I can't do anything less. Anything less than that is just a waste of my time, and it's a waste of everybody else's time as well. The RE27, yeah, the RE27 is a great mic. Used those at many a radio station back in the day. Many a times. I remember them well. Don't forget, if you've got a question, you got a comment, pop it into the chat, and I will be able to see it. Whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on Twitch, or no matter where you are, it pops up right here. Mike W. says, greetings, Stephen. Happy holidays. Retooling my home studio and looking for a great condenser mic, 3K max to cover a lot of ground, vocals, wind, and string instruments. Recommendations. Honestly, what I would do is take that $3,000 and split it up among 2 or 3 different microphones, in all honesty. That's what I would do. I will tell you, there is a microphone out there, and I am absolutely spacing on it. But I will think of it in just a second. But my point here is that there is no one microphone that's going to be great for all of that. Now, you could argue that, yeah, a U67 or a U87, but you're not going to get that for $3,000. Because to get one that would be great for all of those, one of the new ones won't do it. That would be a vintage thing, and you're not going to pick one up for that. I would tell you any of the Rode mics would be great. Let me see, for ground vocals, wind, and string instruments. You could split it up into 2. I would look for a good tube mic, and then I would look for maybe something that gets your condenser in there as well. So you have maybe a tube and a condenser mic. I'm a big fan of the Rode products. Let me see if I can find this this mic I was thinking of that I actually tested out a while back, because I was really impressed with it. And a buddy of mine turned me on to it, and the SE Gemini is a really good microphone. I would encourage you to maybe try that out as well. I have to say I was surprised. I did try out the Warm Audio WA-47. It's a great sounding microphone, especially for vocals. I think you would probably like that. But microphones are so personal, man. I hate to recommend a microphone, especially one microphone, to try to fit all needs. I know that is impossible. That really, truly is impossible, unless you wanted to dump some serious money into it and do like a vintage U87 or a U67 or something like that is gonna carry the water on every vocal you'd want to do, and your string instruments as well. You might also want to look maybe getting it one really good microphone in that $1,000 to $1,500 range, and then maybe looking at a kit of a couple pencil condensers to do your string instrument stuff. It's always a really, really, really good choice. Also, too, if you could find one used under the $3,000, the Manley Reference Gold is an amazing microphone. Love that microphone. I can't tell you the number of hit records that I've produced and done vocals with a Manley Gold Reference. Just a phenomenal microphone. So I hope that answers your question. There is no one. I would not do that. Even at $3,000, I would say split that up, maybe get you a really good condenser mic or tube mic, and then maybe look at a couple other things to fill in as more instrument mics than trying to find a workhorse that will do all of it. Because I can promise you will find a mic that works really well, but you're not going to find a microphone that covers all of those bases, that records vocals as well as it's going to record a stringed instrument like a cello or something like that. They just kind of each have their own thing. So that would be my suggestion there. Mike says, did you see my question above? I hope that's the one you're talking about. Did I miss another one? This thing finally started working, so all of the messages are just flooding in at one time. So I apologize if I'm not getting to... Okay, there you go. Great, thanks. Heard great things about the Mojave. Oh, the Mojave MA200, you cannot go wrong. You absolutely cannot go wrong with the Mojave audio stuff. It's phenomenal. I will also tell you this. I forget what the model number of it is, but they also make a FET version of the MA200, which honestly is probably a better all-around microphone than the MA200 itself, and it's cheaper. So take a look at that. Let me see if I can pull that up. I'll give you the model, but it's a JFET version. Let of the MA200. It may be the 201, something like that. Yeah, it's the MA201 FET large diaphragm condenser. It's $695. But it's got a great sound to it, man. You would not be disappointed with anything Mojave Audio. I can promise you. Because I'm going to talk out of the side of my mouth here, and I don't remember, but I'm almost positive, didn't Neve buy Mojave? I'm trying to remember. Or Neve bought SE. One of those, anyway. But I have owned the Mojave Audio stuff in the past, and I've loved it. Speaking of what I was telling you earlier about those, like doing maybe some condensers or pencils or things like that, you might also want to look into SE electronics for those. I think you might like those. They're very affordable, but they sound really good. And while we're on this subject, I want to... It doesn't matter how expensive the microphone is. The microphone is only as good as the mic pre. So I always encourage people, if you're an analogist like me, your microphone is only as good as your mic pre. So if you're going to go buy a $2,000 microphone and a $300 mic pre, you are not going to get the results you're hoping for. You have to pair those things up. You can put a $50 microphone through a $3,000 mic pre, and it's going to sound like a U87. Or you can. Or a 47. Don't make that mistake. Don't go get yourself some great mics and not have very good mic pre's. I preach these Universal Audio U710s to every single... It's a great mic pre. It's got plenty of gain, lots of headroom. You can turn it to tube, turn it to solid state. It's got an 1176 style compressor on all 4 channels. You can't go wrong with it. So I recommend something like that, or if you even want to go a step above that, I love my API stuff. Maybe look at a 3124, something like that. But make sure no matter what mic you do, choose to end up going with, make sure that you pair it with a really good mic pre. How are the mic pre's in the new UA Apollo units? Heard they were improved from the last generation. There's two schools of thought here. One, they are well, it's not that they're good. It's not that the onboard mic pre's on the Apollos are that good, but when you consider the UAD processing that you can put a 1073 emulator on it and then run that through an 1176 or a TubeTech plug-in through the UAD atmosphere, it's going to sound good. It's going to sound really good. I can't tell you the number of times that I've not used any outboard pre. Now, I had the Universal Audio Apollo. I was on that train. But for me, the UA Apollo is a bit muddy. It colors the sound a little too much for me. So I went to Apogee and have loved Apogee. But I will tell you that I've used the onboard mic pre's on my Symphony on more than one occasion on very important and intricate instruments such as a cello, piano, vocals, acoustic guitar, because they're so clear and they're so detailed without coloring the sound. That's my problem with Universal Audio, is that to me it colors the sound. But if that's what you're running and that's what you've got, you're going to be totally fine with that. Find that UAD processing order that works best with your microphone, right? So find out if it's going to be the API or the Neve or the Shadow Hills, any of that stuff. But I will tell you, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. And they're not cheap. They're very hard to find. They're not cheap. They're not real expensive. But they're not cheap. The absolute best microphone preamp I have ever run into in my entire life is called a Martech. That, it doesn't matter what microphone you put into it, it just sounds like butter. It does. Let me see if I can find one here. It's by far the best sounding mic pre I've ever heard. And I've heard them all. Let's see. I'm going to see if I can find. It's the Martech MSS 10. For those of you that might be interested in going out and trying to find one, let me do this. This is it right here. A Martech MSS 10. This thing, you will never, you just wouldn't believe the sound that comes out of this thing. And as you can see, no longer available. But every once in a while, if you look hard enough and you stay consistent, you can pick one up for about $1,500. And it's one channel, so $1,500 on one channel. I mean, that's it's pretty steep. I mean, not really when you think about, compared to a 1073 or something like that. But I can tell you that if you were looking for that one mic pre that it's just like, I got to have this one mic pre and I just want to be done forever, that's it right there. The only reason I don't have one sitting back here right now is because I can't find one. Then I found out that a buddy of mine had one and sold it to another buddy of mine, because I would have bought it like that. But if you ever get into a situation and you're looking around and you find one, pick it up and buy it. It's you won't ever need another mic pre. You'll love it. It'll be your go-to on vocals, acoustic guitar, stringed instruments, everything. Yes, Al Schmidt used it forever. What's funny is that not a lot of people know about them. We get hung up in the Neves and the APIs and the Shadow Hills and the Burls and all of that we forget a lot about stuff like this. This Martin Sound Martech MSS 10 is awesome. The next one that I can find come available, it will be sitting right back there behind me. I can tell you that. I'll promise you that for sure. It's that good. Big Mike, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Mike W. said, forgot all about those. Yeah, you cannot forget about the Martechs. It's good stuff. Really good stuff. So if you find one and you don't want to buy it, you send me a message and I'll buy it. I'd love to have 3 or 4 of them. Because it's going to be one of those things where in about 10, 15, 20 years, they're not going to be around. I'd love to have 1 that I use and 2 that I store. That's how much I love them. But to go back to your original question, absolutely, man. That UA Apollo, if you want to use that, just find the chain that works best with the microphones that you're going to end up buying, and you're not going to have a problem. Those things, they have plenty of headroom, they have plenty of gain. They're good. They're good. And like I said earlier, if anything that you're doing is going to wind up on iTunes or Spotify, it doesn't matter, because nobody will ever know if you used a $50,000 mic pre and a $20,000 microphone, or if you used a $100 microphone and a $50 mic pre. Nobody will ever know. Now, if they buy it on vinyl, maybe then they'll be able to tell the difference. But for how people are consuming music these days, they'll never know. So I say save your money and put that into your microphones, because that does make a difference. That would be my advice anyway. See if you guys have any more questions or comments. Just pop them right there in the chat if you're. It's always funny to see the comments come through of people that are watching on Twitch. Now, I know it was my fault because I didn't change the dashboard because it shows that we're playing Fortnite right now. We're not playing Fortnite right now. But I always get some interesting comments from people on Twitch because they have no clue what's going on. How do you feel about the rappers' influence on these kids? I gotta, first of all, it blows my mind when my kids show me pictures of the people that they're listening to. The first time my daughter showed me a picture a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, when did they start putting recording studios in prisons? Because, the guy looks like an inmate. Of course, oddly enough, now he's actually in prison. Look, hip-hop has... To say or think that hip-hop has probably not had the biggest influence on mainstream pop culture than anything in our history would be to overlook and deny facts. Popular pop culture is driven by hip-hop. Clothing, fashion, language, talk, dialect. It's all dictated. I don't always think that it's a good thing. I don't like the way that a lot of the influencers that come from the rap world, I don't like the messages that they put out. I agree 100% with their right to be able to say what they want to say and put it out there. What I don't like is that the age of the consumer has gotten so low that I think oftentimes the message that the artist is trying to get out there is too mature for the consumer. And that's where we have a problem. That's why we look around now and the kids that are 10 years old now are not 10 years old. They have the knowledge of what we had when we were 25. It's scary. My wife and I were talking the other day about people that have to be careful. We were talking about people that we see and how they interact with their kids and how differently they interact with their kids than we interact with ours. We never treated our kids like children. We didn't shelter them, right? Within limits, they're allowed to listen to what they want to listen to. They're allowed to watch what they want to watch. But I also think that, and we have, and it's been proven that as we and how we raised our children, how we raised our kids, they have that moral barometer for themselves. They know when they've gone too far, when they've seen something they shouldn't have seen, and they come to us and they tell us about that. Now, I'm not just saying we let them do anything they want to do. We don't. But I think that we cannot blame the rappers and we cannot blame the actors and we cannot blame the video games. We can't blame all that for the systemic situation that we find this generation in. I, for one, think that responsibility falls directly on our shoulders as parents. Because if you're not teaching your child, somebody else is. What are you allowing these other people to teach your kids? That's my issue with the rappers right there. That's it. They are making an art form when they're going in the studio and they're doing this. And I'm talking about the real ones. I'm not talking about these fly-by-night guys that are trying to cash in on 11-year-olds buying their music. I'm talking about the guys that go in that are hardcore. They are going in and they are making their art for an audience that is more mature than the consumer that's actually being the one that is buying it. Now, that's not the artist's fault. That's not the rapper's fault. They can't control who's buying their music. That's why I say, you asked me my thought on it. My thought on it is this, is that it's the responsibility of the parents. Be mindful of what your kids are listening to. Be mindful of what video games they're playing. Be mindful of what they're watching on TV. Play an active role in their life. That we don't see enough. Here's the other side of the coin. We see a lot of parents a lot of times that, in my opinion, they shelter their kids too much. They're not allowed to watch this on TV. They're not allowed to listen to this kind of music. They're not allowed to play this certain video game. They don't know anything about anything else. Well, they think they don't anyway. Believe me, they're being taught somewhere, whether it's from their friends. They're here. If you're one of those parents, let me tell you right now, your kid knows more than you want to give them credit for, and they know a hell of a lot more than you want them to know. So don't put the blinders on and act like if you're not giving them the information or the permission or access to the information that they're not getting it, they have it. My wife and I have been blown away by some of the things we've heard other parents say that their kids don't know anything about. And I'm like, do you realize what is going to happen? And I'm talking, my kids are 15 and 11. So they're not young. I mean, not today's a thing anyway. They're not little children. They're not little kids. They know shit. They know things at their age that I would never have dreamed of knowing. And that's not completely controllable because, like I said, if you're not the ones talking and introducing things and working through things with them, they are talking about it with their friends or people that you don't want influencing your kids. And maybe in this case, maybe it is the rappers. I don't want my child learning about drugs, sex, life. I don't want my kids should not learn that from 6ix9ine or Justin Bieber or anybody else. They should learn about that from me. And like I was saying, my wife and I are just blown away by the almost just like checked out parents who just think, oh, my kid's not ready to know about that. They don't know anything about that. Or they don't watch that stuff on TV. And then their kids come to my house. And then you hear them talking about all this stuff. And it's like, there are parents that are literally asleep at the wheel. It's like I said, just because you don't want them to know it doesn't mean that they don't know it. If they're not getting the information from you, they're getting the information somewhere. And if they have one of these, they've got the answer to any question in the world they could possibly want to ask. Whether or not it's the answer you want them to get or knowledge you want them to know, that's on you. So I know a lot of people like to blame the rappers. A lot of people want to blame the video games and pop culture. I don't blame any of that. That's all capitalism. They're doing all that to make money. If your kids are learning stuff that you don't want them to know, it's your problem. Better parenting. Be active in your child's life. Take an interest. They know 1,000 times more than you think they do and that you're giving them credit for. So you need to make a decision. Either you want to have an open door type relationship with your kids to where you make it okay for them to know those things so that when they have questions, they come and they ask you, or you have that closed door la la land mentality that they don't know anything. And if they ever did want to know, that they would come ask you. It's things like that. That's why we have My Pregnant Teenager on MTV and all these shows about, pregnant 12-year-olds. It's insane. That starts at home. It's a parental problem. It's not a child problem. It's a parental problem. Because God gives them to us. And it's our job. We shape. He gave us the clay. We got to shape it. If you let it sit there, it's going to evolve on its own. I could go on and on, as you can tell, about stuff like that. Well, we have gone full gamut tonight. We have talked production. We have talked football. We have talked parenting. We have talked microphones and mic pre's. Somebody shoot me something out of left field here. What's the one thing we haven't talked about? I feel like we ought to have an ad in here for erectile dysfunction or something. It's about the only topic we haven't covered. It's about time to go anyway. It's about dinner time. It's dinner time for me. But like I said, wrapping up. Guys, thank you for an amazing year. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast, whether you're watching live with us on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, or you're catching a rerun on YouTube, or you are downloading the podcast on Spotify or iTunes. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for all of your emails. Thank you for your messages. I can tell you 2019 is going to be an exciting year, and I hope you'll take the ride with us. I'm looking forward to being in the new studio. That's going to be exciting. Just got the brand new sign that's going up in the back. It's awesome. So I'm looking forward to a lot of things. I'm looking forward to connecting more with you guys in 2019 as well. Don't forget you can follow me on social media. It's at the Steve Freeman everywhere on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn. Everywhere. I'm being forced to get into the LinkedIn thing. Gary V is making me get into LinkedIn. So I've had one for like 15 years and I've never used it. So here we go. Thank you guys for the support here on the YouTube channel, all the different videos. Like I said, I can't say a lot, but a lot's coming in 2019. We're going to be launching the network, and you'll be able to get the Stream Me network on your Roku device, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and we'll be stepping up our game. It's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, I hope you have an amazing holiday season. I hope that you are able to spend time and cherish the ones that you love. I'm going to try to take my own advice here and try to live in the moment over the next couple of weeks and not think so much about January 1st. And I encourage the rest of you to do the same thing. Don't let the next couple of weeks go by without smelling the roses. If you've got kids, hug them. If you're married, hug your spouse. Tell them how much you love them. Tell them how much they mean to you and how important to you that they are. Because, guys, you guys are important to me, too. I hope you have a very, very, very Merry Christmas. Keep a watch on social media. I'll let you know when we'll be back. There will be no live stream on Christmas. But we might do something afterward. We'll see. Stay tuned to social media, and you will know for sure. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. As always, keep being creative. Keep pressing the boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with being independent. See you soon.